started.
Oh, we got a game here. M. David 13. Okay, let's try D5. Oh, we get to try the Chigorin. Haven't played that in ages. People have all been playing weird other moves. So taking, what do I do when he just takes? Oh, you take back with the queen. That's right. That's right. Not the most common way to play. Okay, I can probably play E4 immediately. E5. And maybe I should. He can play knight to F3 to prevent E5 if I don't play it right now. If I play E5 now and he plays knight C3 to kick the queen, I'll drop back here. If he plays knight F3, I'll take the pawn. Let's try it. It's an aggressive defense. I can't. Let's see. In fact, there is a problem here, right? I can't just go to E6 because he can push the pawn forward and fork the queen and the knight. So where should I go with the queen? Oh, you know what? This is one of those tricks. You don't move the queen. You bring the bishop out and pin the knight. So now this forces an exchange. But in this Chigorin defense, you're willing to give up the bishop pair. That's part of the idea, is to get activity for your pieces and give up the bishop pair. He can't take back with the queen because the knight's guarding that square. He could take back with the bishop. Or he could take back with the pawn. If he takes back with the pawn, it leaves him with an isolated pawn, which I can use as a target. So I'm expecting him to take with the bishop. That's probably the right move there. Okay, I'll see what he does. It's funny, he moved quick up to that point, but then he stopped to think, oh, he's going to recapture with the knight. That makes sense. That's a reasonable thing to do. Now, if I develop a knight, that's what I want to do. It is on this diagonal with his bishop. Let's pin that knight too. Get the bishops out, pin the knights, maybe even castle queenside. And bishop takes. I'm still a little worried about bishop takes. Let's see. He's got my G7 pawn here is undefended, so the bishop, after bishop takes, it's really threatening. Threatening to take on G7, hitting my rook in the corner. And if I play knight F6, he just takes the knight, which would double my pawns. Now that's all that appealing. So I guess after bishop takes, I pretty much have to take it. Yeah, or I could play F6. I could play pawn to F6. That is probably wrong, though. It's probably just not the right thing to do. Mess up my pawn structure just to avoid this trade. I think I need to take the bishop. And he can take back with the pawn or the queen. If he takes with the queen, though, then I can castle queenside and get a rook on an open file. That might be good. Oh, but he's still hitting this pawn over here. Yeah, so maybe I have to trade all the way down. So what does this look like? After queen takes, knight takes, castles queenside. I guess it's okay. His knight is fairly well under control. If it comes to the B5 square hitting the A7 pawn, I can play king B8. And I just need a move to develop my knight. I can maybe play the c-pawn up to kick his knight away at some point. I wonder where the knight should go. Maybe the knight Oh, that's interesting. He's kicking my bishop around so that his knight's guarding a lot of squares here. Let's bring it back this way. Just try and keep the bishop looking at all these squares his knight might go to. Keep his knight out of those squares. Maybe moves like A6 and G6 to control these light squares here. The center is open. Okay, he's going after this pawn. Looks like I'm not playing that. I'm going to play F3 after all. But yeah, that's the problem with pawns on light squares are going to be a target for his bishop. Okay, so the knight's coming out to E7. I could go to G6 and E5. That would be a good square. Or if I go to this square, it would be a trade. And let's get my king off of the C file and off of a light square. So, okay, let's develop the knight. So knight to E5, hitting his bishop. Yeah, so he's just going to advance with the pawns there. Let's see where his bishop goes. This is a pretty good square for the knight, but he can, well, if he chases it away with F4, it'll create a weakness on the E-pawn. So we'll see how this goes. Bishop is looking at this pawn, but it's defended. Knight to this square would be good. That would fork the two rooks. It's guarded though. Let's see. C5 is not a move here because he can just take it. So I could start some pawn action against his king. Pawn all the way up to G4 here would open up a square for my bishop or my knight to use, and I can maybe bring my rooks over to the G file. Notice I haven't moved any pawns in front of my king, and white has moved one pawn in front of his king. So the move G5 actually engages with his pawns faster than white can engage with my pawns. So pawn to, let's think about it though. If I play pawn to G5, he can just play pawn to G4. He can play H4. He takes. I take. He takes. I take. So maybe I need to push the H pawn all the way up to H4 first and then play G4. And let's see. If he pushes with the H pawn, if he pushes with the A pawn, I push the B pawn forward. If he were to push with the B pawn, that would be the only way to force an exchange. But this way, well, it doesn't force an exchange, but does create a weakness on the C pawn here, doesn't it? Maybe I'll play C5 right away. C5, pawn takes, knight takes, bishop takes, rook takes. I can't play it right away. Maybe rook C8 and then C5. So I'm going to double on the C file. Okay, rook C8. Rook there. Pawn forward. Pawn takes en passant. Knight takes, bishop takes, rook takes, rook takes, rook takes. Yeah, he's got enough force there. Okay, so I'm going to push on on the king side, see if I can distract him by getting counterplay over here.
Check.
Okay, goes in with the check. I don't have to take that. Oh, but he's threatening my rook. I guess I do have to take that. Okay. So now the knight needs to move. On the other hand, the knight is defending the was defending that f pawn. So if I move the knight, it was going to drop the f pawn, which I wasn't quite ready to give up just yet. Yeah, okay, so I have to be careful how I defend this pawn. I think defending it from the side is the right way to do it. There's a possibility he can chase my rook off of the c8 square with his light squared bishop. But if I'm on the second rank defending from the side, then I can put it on a dark square and his bishop can never chase it away. So I could play a move like rook to e. What is that? That's d2 there, rook d2. Hitting his bishop, and if the bishop moves, threatening f2, because the knight's already looking at that square. So rook d2, probably bishop takes pawn. And then maybe I could try and create a passed pawn over here. It's an idea. Okay, so he decides to mess up the pawns right away. So rook to d2 now, hitting his bishop. Bishop takes, pawn takes. He's got a passed pawn. How about if I move the knight away first, hitting his rook? I guess he's got rook to d6. Looks like a good move there. Rook d6, knight to, is that e? That's e6. Rook e6, knight d3, bishop takes, rook takes, and then at the end of all that he can grab this pawn. Yeah, actually I can't play that at all because there's a checkmate threat on the back rank. That's unfortunate. So if I play if I play knight to e3, bishop takes, I can't take back because rook here is checkmate. So what can I play instead? Maybe I can get my knight to c5 here. Maybe that's a good square. At least it stops the pressure on the c-pawn. But he's got an extra passed pawn here, which is very, very dangerous. He needs to move his rook. If he puts the rook in front of the pawn, that'll slow it down a bit. Okay, well, he's pausing to think. Okay, he goes there and defends from the side. Okay, I can get in front of the pawn. Okay, what bishop's moves does he have? Coming out here. The only way I can get rid of my knight is to sack the exchange, which he should probably be considering. His king is actually a bit safer than mine because he's got this square on h2 that he can run to with the king if I ever check on the back rank. So the loss of that pawn. Yeah, it's interesting. He's taking advantage of my back rank problem. So let's just move Move to the side. I can still place my rook all the way up to the f6 square. Keep that pawn blockaded. Now he goes there. He's doubling. So I need to control this square. Ooh, that's tricky. I have to go here with the king. But the problem is he can put his bishop on this diagonal. Yeah, so let's block here. So now rook here, rook takes, king takes. I've managed to protect the square d8 for the moment. And this rook and this knight are free to move, but where can they go? If I go here with the rook, he can just push this pawn forward with check, which looks very dangerous. Knight here, maybe here, knight to knight to e4 and then to g5, hitting the bishop. Or rook to, yeah, maybe just rook here, but he still has the check. Very annoying. So I can play en passant. He can take with the rook. And this bishop was defended by the rook, but he's got to take back now with the rook because otherwise, if he takes with the pawn, his bishop is going with check. So rook takes is forced, and then he's left with these doubled pawns, and this is not so. This is not as dangerous as it was before. I may be able to survive this one. So now my king is not getting mated on the back rank, and he can win this pawn, huh? Or that one. But I can mop up all of these pawns. And I need to, let's see, if I attack the pawn immediately, how is he defending it? He can't defend with the king. He has to defend with the rook. And then my king is out of prison finally. And I can win a pawn over here. Or not. Maybe he's still winning.
Check.
He's still holding on to that pawn anyway. Huh. That is a tricky position. I don't know exactly what this is. But I have this check here to drive his king away. And I can set up this kind of position where I'm trying to queen this pawn. So what is it? Let's think about this. Yeah, I have some time to think, so let's pause. I need to drive his king further away. Let's see. So if I give the check immediately, the king can go here, hitting the pawn. I go here. And yes, I think this...
Check.
This is winning. Wherever his king goes, I'm going to the... what is that? That's the f8 square? I've got this backwards. No, that's c1. That is c1. Okay. If I take the rook, he takes. I step aside. He pushes the pawn. I queen. He queens. But I queen with check.
Check.
Very important detail.
Check.
So it was winning after all. Well, a nice little bit of in-game lore there, I guess. This is the easiest way to stop the pawn. If he ever leaves this pawn alone, I will take it and protect my pawn, like here.
Check.
And if he doesn't leave the pawn alone, then he's then I'm just bringing my king up, which I'm going to do now anyway. Just need to make sure he's got a square to go to.
Checkmate.
And then that's how it ends. So interesting game. I will upload this and do a postmortem. See you guys later. Bye.